Hi everybody, Mature Simmer here. So, welcome to year 86, start of spring. First off, the impacts of climate change have come to FSN. So, as you can see, we've got a new geocalendar that differs substantially from what we started with. We've got longer growing seasons or planting seasons and longer harvest windows, and some are moved around a bit, so forth and so on. But we're going to be able to do some work. So I had mentioned that I would need to figure out how to make the pig food appropriately, and I've been able to do that. So what I'm going to do is on the south end of the field this year, we are going to plant sorghum, soybeans, and potatoes. Now, as you can see, today the only thing of those that I can plant is potatoes. So I'm going to get those in the ground in a small area in the center, and then tomorrow we'll worry about the rest of the crops. Now, with regards to the state of the pigs themselves at this point, we've only got this one group of 12 that is fully mature and going to bring us full price at market. And we've got a couple here that are coming up after that, but they're still basically 4 months away. So we're going to be waiting a little bit until we can take our batch of 36 pigs to market. It's been so long since I planted potatoes, I had to run around the farm a bit and figure out where my planter was. But I've got it over here at the shed. So we've obviously got some potatoes in it from before. But I guess the good news is, hey, we're doing potatoes again, and certainly now with pigs, we're going to have an ongoing need. So all in all, that means, at least we're going to get use out of this. So, I'm going to leave this at this point because I don't know that I want to have like a planter full of seed that I just use periodically. So I'm still going to leave this space alone. I think I'm, in essence, going to have a similar space anyway in what I'm thinking of doing, but I'd rather just, kind of leave the field be. So let's take a look at the map real quick. So basically, again, we're using this space for our crops this year. And what I'm going to do is basically put the potatoes kind of here in the center. And then, I'm going to go ahead and figure out, what's going to go at the top and the bottom. But I think that'll give us, it's not going to be terribly equal because this section is going to be larger, but we're going to get crops together anyway. I don't know, I'm almost thinking through. No, I think, and maybe what I'll do is just do like this section. That I think might be large enough if I go from the bottom of here to the bottom of here. That gets me a section, and then I can kind of figure out where I want the dividing line to be to maybe make that more equal. Alright, so there's going to be a little bit of laying out and working on this as we go, because I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap between the crop types, because obviously I don't want to have a situation too where I am mistakenly harvesting. And again, I don't need to leave anything huge, but at this point, like whatever I plant will work just fine. So let's see if I go here, lower this down. Well, it has to unfold as well. So that should, get me all set. I didn't realize it pulled in toward the tractor. You learn new things all the time. Alright. So there we go. And we're probably going to need more seed than I thought, because look how fast it's going, but that's alright. It'll get us a start. Alright, so that's our top line. And I'm going to go ahead and do our bottom line, and then our edge line will basically create our border. And then we'll kind of fill in the space in between. And I'm thinking I'm still going to be not real happy with, I think this is going to be bigger than I think. And I'm still going to be like, oh my goodness, what did I do to myself? But we'll see. So let me kind of line up. Not that this is a perfect science here, but we'll go ahead and run that across here. Let me set some sort of a line again, although I don't know that I actually want this line, because I don't think I'm going straight, as you can tell, which is fine. I don't need to be. I mean, I am going straight. You can see the fact that my line's not moving. Now it finally moved a tiny bit, but for the most part, I actually snapped a pretty straight line there. Alright, so there's the bottom. So we can't even see the top part. I mean, we can see where it is, but it's not actually even rendering. We're so far away. Alright, and then we'll go kind of across here, and again, this can be a bit of a attempt. Whoops. So actually I'll re-snap a line here, because this is really what I need anyway. There we go. And then we'll just make sure we're on the line. Give ourselves a nice edge. And we're all set. Alright. So now it's just a matter of getting this done. So, not quite lined up. I'm trying to do this without visual lines if I can. I don't know if it'll let me, but I'm going to try so that it's just a little bit nicer to look at. But that is the plan, is we're going to get these planted. And so the nice thing is, with this, I will then have everything I need to feed the pigs at the end of this season, so that we should just have to handle pig food here and then be done. And here being year 86, because once we harvest later in the fall, we'll be in good shape. And so certainly, probably I'll spend a little more time tomorrow on kind of what my feelings are on the harvest cycle and so forth, because I'll be planting multiple crops tomorrow, so. And I've got to enjoy my potatoes. I don't do it that often. He says sarcastically. Okay. Trying to move, but it won't let me. There we go. Wonderful GPS foibles that you get once in a while. But yeah, I'm thinking I'm clearly going to need to get more seed. Started out at 3550. And we're almost basically down 750 liters already. I don't know, maybe it'll go further than I thought, but not quite sure. I just forgot how fast potatoes seed, which was part of the issue and why I didn't do a lot of it, or wasn't keen on going forward, because yeah, I think we used some I don't know if it was 80,000 liters of seed or what it was, but it was a lot of seed, I know that. You know, and the other challenge, although I don't think I'm going to take the time to roll, especially I think today I won't be able to do that, because I'm pretty time limited today on how much time I can spend here. So that's why it's good that potatoes was what was done, because it's at least the smallest area, although with the width of the planter and so forth, I don't know that the time's going to be small. I still may end up spending an hour or two doing this. But yeah, basically from the food sources, if you recall, and I'm going to test my recollection capability here, but there's 4 buckets of pig food. There's base food, there's grain, there's protein, and there's root crops. And so root crops, again, you know, we'll start from the bottom and go up, I guess. Root crops are the easy ones. Potatoes and sugar beets. They're the things that go in the ground and grow in the ground like roots. Hence their name, root crops, I assume. Ooh, we kicked up some stone there. Oh, that's not good. You know we need that. So potato is satisfying the root crops. We have wheat already, which is satisfying the grain. So we've got, 2 of the 4 handled at this point. So then the base food was the one that kind of was really throwing me off, and that's the one that absolutely required some research. And so what I determined there is corn and sorghum qualify as base food, which is why we're planting sorghum, because I'd rather do that than corn, because we just plowed this field, and if I plant corn, I'm going to have to replow that section immediately to be able to plant again. And so I'd like to get on a cycle where, like, I plow when I have to, and again, if I plant something like corn or sunflowers, I do that the year before I would have to have plowed anyway. And so therefore, that is why, well, one of the reasons I picked sorghum versus corn. I mean, the other reason is I haven't grown sorghum yet. So it's always fun to get a different crop type, and obviously that is a new crop type in FS22. The other being grapes and olives, which, again, given the problems folks had with it basically taking over that area of the map and requiring all kinds of crazy effort to reclaim the field for anything else, if you suddenly decided you didn't want to keep going with those. So it's the only FS22 crop that I'll likely get on this farm that is new. So certainly like that opportunity. And so that handles base food. And so finally we have protein. And so basically then everything else on the list, when you look at pig food, is protein, which would include soybeans, canola, and sunflowers. Soybeans I certainly understand, because even as humans, we kind of refer to that as a protein replacement. I think tofu is, a lot of soy products in general are kind of replacements for the protein that vegetarians or vegans don't get from meat. So, so that gets us there, but canola and especially sunflowers, I don't know that I think of that as protein, but maybe it truly is, and it's not just a farming simulator construct to say, yeah, we're going to consider this protein. I mean, it may, by nutritionists, be considered protein as well. picked up more stones. It's almost making me feel, I mean, at a minimum, like I should roll those parts and get the stones back underneath so I don't do any damage to my harvester. Because I don't think anything else would get damaged, but because the spreader obviously just rolls over the stones. I'm sure it's just the things that actually dig into the soil that sustain extra damage from stones, but alright, so definitely getting further than I thought with the seeds I had in the planter. We're not even down at 1,000 yet, although if not this pass, I think definitely the next one up we will be. You know, and obviously once we get past this little island, we're going a little ways longer. There we go, we're at 1,000. So there's our bottom line there. So kind of seeing our border that we're artificially putting in place for this season. So yeah, I was going ahead just thinking about things that we don't really experience in this game that farmers do. One of the really the only YouTubers I follow pretty consistently as a farming channel is the Millennial Farmer. Just like his content, and you know, he's done a great job out, you know, up there, and you know, he keeps it interesting, and just the way he presents keeps me coming back for more. So he's done a good job in my eyes. But you know, we just watched an episode where he's got massive tornado damage. It took out one of their biggest storage sheds where they have a lot of their equipment, and you know, a bunch of large John Deere tractors, their planter, and it's spring as it is here on the game, and they were just getting ready to plant, and now it's, you know, who knows if they're going to be able to get out in the field. I mean, I think they're going to do everything they can, because if they skip a year, they obviously totally lose any kind of income. But right now they've got, you know, metal and beams and everything, broken beams just laying on top of all kinds of equipment, trucks, tractors, you know, bean headers, all kinds of stuff like that. So, you know, and that's one of the things that, you know, we're not dealing with here in Farming Simulator, is like natural crop disasters type thing. I mean, we I guess we deal with crop disasters now that I kind of use that term, but let's see, I think I need to be over here, not sure. So we'll put that in there. Alright, and then now we're there. Just, yeah, it's always a trick with these islands, because you want to see, like, that one snapped in. Like, if I hadn't had the planter down yet, I would not have been able to get that little segment. And I do, wow, I think that's like a medium pile in size. I mean, the roller's wide. Maybe I'll try to squeeze rolling in at some point. Because, yeah, there's some more that popped up there. I'm just getting a lot of rocks suddenly popping up here. The one thing, like, I haven't seen yet, I know I debated at one point with the rock picking. Actually, there's rocks. So they may actually have existed from the plowing that happened. Which I guess would make sense. Because there was a pile. We'll see it when we go back here. I think we'll get that far before we run out of seed. But there was a pile here in the plowed field of rock. So maybe those other piles were there, because if you recall when I did rock picking, like, you can barely see them until you're, in essence, on top of them. See, like, I know there's one here, and I can't see it at all. Alright, so I need to fill the tool. So, let me drive over, get some seed, and I'll be back here. So I actually had to run over here. I'm out of seeds in my silo. I only had a little over 2,700 liters, so just gonna fill this up at this point here. And then in between, before the next planting, or maybe even in this one, because if I've got to fill up again, I'm not going to run this planter over, because first off, I'm hoping I'm going to be really close to being done, so I'm just going to want a little bit. But I'll run a truck over to be able to fill up that seed silo. But we ran out of seed. Alright, so I'm back here planting again. The real question is going to be, am I going to be able to get done in this area of the field with the 8,000 seeds I've got, or 8,000 liters of seeds. So at this point we're clear of what I've been referring to as the southern island. Just got that little tip wrapped around with potatoes now. So we'll go ahead and continue running up and down. This thing is a runaway again with my lovely GPS. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a time lapse of this at this point, because this is going to take a little bit. And I've kind of gotten you up to speed on what we've got to chat about right now. So see you at the end, let you know how things went. Potatoes are planted where we plan to plant them. Did not have to refill the seeder anymore, but obviously used quite a bit of those 8,000 liters, so less than 10% left. But the good side of it is that means there's going to be a small bit of seed sitting in the potato planter till we need it again. Because now the unknown that we have is how long those potatoes would sustain our pigs before we need to start thinking about growing a bit more again. And maybe we'll do a smaller crop at that point. We'll see how this all pans out, because at this point obviously it's it wasn't too bad on the planting. It took me about an hour, I'm thinking. Just kind of looking at the times and so forth. I've kind of been doing this pretty much straight through. So I will see if at some point later I do get to the point where I can just grab out the roller and go. And we'll see how that works then. So I'm going to try to do that because this shouldn't take an hour. It should be relatively quick. It's just a matter of finding the time. So I'll assume that I can get to that, and then I will give you an update once I get there. So I've gone ahead and gotten the rolling done. This is the last piece here that needs to happen. And then the area of potatoes is complete. So there we go. If we pop that up, see all the blue should go away. I never hit a spot where some of these other rocks existed. I think I've tried to roll right after I've plowed, and then after you plant, it still then tells you need rolling. So I believe that is why I had stopped doing that. But I do not recall. I definitely went beyond, the potato edge, because if you remember, basically at the end of the island, like basically here, right there is where the potatoes stop, so that turnaround point is extra rolling of the field that happened. And certainly some of that will be planted with other crop. So I'll see when I go ahead and do that planting tomorrow if it tells me I need to roll. But at this point, I've gotten done what I can with these tasks with getting this field done today. So between the wheat that we already have in our silo and what we just planted, we have basically 50% of our pig food coverage on its way to being handled this year, and after tomorrow we'll be 100% on our way. So quite excited about that and what I've been able to pull together, and the fact that I won't have to keep feeding the pigs store-bought pig food for 2 years, that I'll be able to hopefully stop that this fall. So I may have to, at least get some more food one more time, but we'll kind of play that by ear. I just filled them up a day or two ago. They had run low again, low meaning they were empty. So shame on me, I'm still having a hard time getting the right frequency together. And obviously with winter, there wasn't a big need, and I was actually gone for a couple days, so I also just physically couldn't get on the servers. So, but I could have topped them off before I left, for example, but I didn't. In any event, that's where we're at. I think I've got myself as far back as I can. I'll disconnect from both this and from you, because at this point I am done. So I will see you next time.